Gio.
BT and Sal.
Kevin and Tiki.
Keith McPherson, your nighttime host on The Fan.
On the fan.
On the fan.
On the fan.
It's WFAN Daily, hosted by Pete Hoffman.
Well, that was a day, at the very least. Congratulations to the New York Yankees. Let's start there because the Yankees have clinched another playoff spot. And you have to think that all the talking about get rid of Aaron Boone, fire Brian Cashman, this team isn't any good. You can go all through the ups and downs of this season for the New York Yankees. And again, they still deliver. And I loved what Aaron Boone said. As before they popped any champagne, they were all in their locker rooms and basically ready to go, ready to celebrate. And he just said, listen, we had a lot of boxes to check off. This is the first one we checked off. We are in the playoffs. No one can take that away from you, but let's not take that shit for granted. And I love that because it's in the moment. Enjoy this moment. We have a lot of things to do. We have a long way to go to get back to that World Series. But the first thing we did was we got back into the playoffs, and that's something that I'm not saying that many people thought that they couldn't get into the playoffs, but there's always that doubt. There's always there's always that tension. Again, Aaron Boone's job was on the line all year this year. I mean, everyone basically said, Boone's got to go, Boone's got to go, Boone's got to go. And he was able to lead the New York Yankees back to the playoffs again. And they got 5 games to go. So they clinch. The division is still there. The Blue Jays lose. The Red Sox win. And this is what that's all you can want. All you can ask for is a shot to take the division. And what I love is that the Yankees were able to celebrate and take that for what it was. I always look back at 2022 with the New York Mets and say how disappointing that season was because they chose not to celebrate making the playoffs. They were not going to celebrate until they won the division, and they never won it, and they never got to celebrate. And then they got knocked out by the Padres in 3 games, and it was just like, what the hell happened? We got punched in the face over and over and over, and it was a disappointing end to a really great season. 101 wins is not a season to look at and be like, wow, this team sucked. No, they were really good. They had a really good season. The Yankees here, maybe it's not the best season they've ever had, but they've fought. They battled through injuries. They battled through Aaron Judge's injuries. They battled through shortstops who can't make plays. They've battled through a left fielder who can't play left field. They've battled through a ton of stuff. They battled through DJ LeMahieu, finally cutting him, making the trade for Ryan McMahon. Did that ever really work out? I mean, we'll still see if it comes through in the playoffs. But they were battle-tested through a bullpen that was scratching your head every day, making a trade for one of the best closers in baseball, and Devin Williams, and he not being able to succeed, so much so that you had to go out and trade for 3 more relief pitchers to hopefully cross your fingers that you could find one, a closer, and you did with David Bednar. So, I mean, listen, we can sit there and knock the Yankees as much as possible and say it wasn't a perfect season and they can't develop position players and what awful situations they put themselves in. They didn't go strong for, not that they didn't go strong for Juan Soto, but they didn't hit on Juan Soto, and they basically taped things together with Bellinger and Goldschmidt and you name it. They did try to throw it to the wall, but in the end of the day, they're back to where they wanted to be. They're back to the situation that they needed to be in. And that's what you want. Every fan, I don't care who you are. If you're a Yankee fan, you are satisfied today that you're back in the playoffs. I know there was a lot of guys, a lot of people that were like, oh, I hope they lose out. I hope they miss the playoffs so that we can just blow this whole thing up. Yeah? Okay. I want to hear from you right now. Tell me, when they're in the playoffs and they're going deep in the playoffs, did you really want them to blow this team up? Did you really want them to miss the playoffs? Tell me when you're back in the World Series if you really want them to blow this whole thing up. This is the problem, is that the Yankee, it works. The Yankee way works so often. And it may not be perfect. It's still not perfect. I sit there and criticize a lot of what they do. A lot of things that I'm sitting there going, you could be better at a lot of different positions. You didn't have to go cheap here. But at the end of the day, they are at the top of their league and still have the opportunity to win the division. By the way, think about this, right? Think about mind being blown. Let's look at the standings right now because this is mind being blown here, okay? You want to talk about crazy. Besides the fact that the Yankees can win the division, which is great, again, thanks to the Red Sox on that one, the playoffs for the American League are all up in the air. It's not as the National League seems like it's more laid out. Like obviously the Dodgers are in. Basically 5 teams are already locked in. 5 teams are locked in. Dodgers, Padres, Cubs, obviously the Phillies, and the Brewers, all locked in. But for the American League, it's like, yes, Yankees are finally locked into the playoff spot. The Toronto Blue Jays are locked into a playoff spot. But the divisions are all up in the air. But not all of the divisions are locked up. Let's go to the standings. Hold on. Let me take you to it right now because it's crazy. All right, here we go. So right now, the only 2 teams that have clinched in the American League, like I said, there's 5 teams clinched in the National League. 2 teams are clinched in the American League, Toronto and the Yankees. But there is no divisions clinched at all. Right now, it's Toronto, Seattle, Cleveland. That's how that looks. It's Toronto, Seattle, Cleveland. But the Yankees are 1 game behind. And we talked about this soft schedule. We talked that the Yankees they're playing the White Sox. They're going back. They have 3 more against the Orioles, who they just beat up. Are you telling me that we think the Yankees can't take over the Toronto Blue Jays? The Blue Jays are playing. Blue Jays have to finish up right now. They're playing the Red Sox, who are fighting for position, and then they're fighting the Rays, the last 3. So, okay, maybe the Rays don't really care, so they'll get swept. But the Red Sox are fighting for position as well. They're fighting to stay in the playoffs. They only have a 1-game lead over Detroit, and Detroit is not in the division anymore. They don't have the division lead. They're only in the playoffs by a half a game. It is Toronto, Seattle, Cleveland for the divisions. And the Yankees, the Red Sox, and then Detroit. With the Astros a half a game out of the playoff spot right now. Are they still playing the Astros? Is that what's going on? Let's see. Where are the Astros? The Astros are losing 4-1 to the Athletics. That's crazy. The Astros may miss the playoffs, but the Detroit Tigers are literally a half game, potentially 1 full game of a lead in that last wild card spot. Guardians are taking over. It is unbelievable what's going on right now in the American League. So, point is, congratulations, New York Yankees. They did what they had to do. That's all you could ask for. And they have an opportunity to not only win the division, but be the best team in the American League. Go down with the best record in the American League. That is outrageous. This is, again, how are we sitting here and talking about a team that constantly gets to be an elite team in baseball in the American League? And again, 90 wins is where Toronto's at right now. So Yankees with 5 games left, can they scratch 94 wins? It's a huge possibility that they just go undefeated the rest of the way. 94 wins. Is it great? No. Again, this is what we said, mediocre baseball this year. But it's not just with them, it's with everybody. But that is a huge, huge deal for the Yankees. Not only to have home field advantage, but maybe a potential bye. I mean, come on. What is going on here? Listen, the Yankees, they're stepping in it right now. Good for them. Now, the Mets made it much, much more difficult, but they are back in their control with 5 games left after a fantastic win over the Chicago Cubs. Let's start with, why are they back in that last place? Why are they back into the wild card? Because the Pittsburgh Pirates beat the Reds 4-2, and they shocked everybody. And now the Mets, who were up 1-0, and then David Peterson went on to give it away, and they were down 6-1, had an epic comeback after Pete Alonso, drives a ball that just misses going out of the ballpark. It's 6-3. There's 2 runners on, and Brandon Nimmo comes up and faces Tyler Rogers' brother, Taylor Rogers, and he puts it in the seats. And it's tied up at 6. Lindor hits a shot that to break it open to make it 7-6. And you're like, all right, my God, the Mets are here. It's perfect. But then Taylor Rogers, like I said, with the Cubs, his brother, Tyler Rogers, who's on our team, comes in and blows the game too. And now it's 7-7, and we're going, oh, boy, here we go. How are we going to come back? Can we come back? We already came back twice. We already took the lead 2 different times. What is going to happen here? And Francisco Alvarez in the 8th inning hits a 2-run bomb, puts the Mets up 9-7, and then Carlos Mendoza wasn't messing around. He puts it Edwin Diaz. He gets the 6-out save, and the Mets win 9-7. The defense was terrible all game long, like it's been the past few days. Even against Nationals, it was awful. The Mets defense is not getting any better. Jeff McNeil was throwing a ball all over the place. He was trying to aim for grandma in the 7th row on the first base side. I don't know what the hell he was doing, but it was a bad day for the defense again. Mets come out on top, and that's all that matters. And they're alive, and everything is now in their control, which is what all you asked for. You were dying for them to beat the Nationals just so that you had control. Think about this. Think about how much of a relief it would be if the Mets won one more game against the Nationals, and right now they'd have a 2-game lead, have a little breathing room, feel a little bit better. They'd actually have a magic number rather than right now the Mets have to win them all. That's it. End of story. The Mets have 5 games left. If the Mets win them all and the Reds win them all, the Mets go to the playoffs. If the Mets win 4 out of 5 games, but the Reds win them all, the Reds are in the playoffs. That's how freaking tight it is. So the magic number for the Mets is 5. Win them all, baby. Win them all. And I'm not sure if this is the reason why they fought back, but I said before, about while they were in the descent and making their way to almost missing the playoffs, I said this team needs to just continue to lose out until they are out of a playoff spot, and maybe that'll light a fire. I'm not telling you that's the reason why they fought back last night versus the Cubs. I'm not telling you that's the reason why, but it is because I said so. And then finally, let's go to Jackson Dart. Congratulations, you're making your start on Sunday versus the Chargers. I'm not totally sure. We'll find out from Brian Daboll later on today. On Wednesday, we're going to hear from Brian Daboll. I think it's 12:30, but usually he does 1:30, so we'll find out. Maybe they're mixed up times. But as of now, 12:30 on Wednesday, we will hear from Brian Daboll. And I want to know why. I want to know what the decision is for making this, or what's the reason for making this decision, because if it's about wins, I still think that Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston gives the team the best opportunity to win games right now. Jackson Dart is young. I don't want to see him get destroyed. I don't want to see what happened with Daniel Jones. I don't want to see what happened with Sam Darnold, with Zach Wilson, with whatever other young quarterback that came through New York and was hyped up. And this hype is not coming from the Giants. This hype is coming up from all the media. The media is all over Jackson Dart. I think the Giants know what they have in Jackson Dart and are excited to get him, to go out there and make some play calls and go out there and play quarterback and throw the ball around and just make some plays on his feet. But I don't think they wanted to rush him because it's just one of those things where it's backfired too often. But at this point in time, going 0-3, the offense being as lackluster. And I will say this, Russell Wilson did not look competitive in that 4th quarter. While for the most part, against the Dallas Cowboys, he was in it. Even that interception at the end of the game, I don't blame that at Russell Wilson for not being competitive and not being locked in. Think he made a throw, and there seemed to be miscommunication. Malik Neighbors even talked about it later in the week. Said, I talked to Russ, and we were on different pages on that play. I should have done something different and took ownership, and that was awesome. This time, though, I mean, I don't know what was going on. It didn't feel right. Russell Wilson didn't feel like he was locked in and competitive. That's the problem. So Jackson Dart is the guy to go to. Should Jameis Winston have gotten the opportunity? I don't, personally speaking, Jameis Winston is somebody that I think can win you games too. So if you're looking to win games, I'm not opposed to putting him in. But if it's Jackson Dart, and the reason for Jackson Dart is to now just see what you got in the young kid, see what we could do, see if he's got anything. We drafted him for a reason, right? So let's see what he can do, and maybe he can light a spark under this team. The one thing that I will say is, in a positive, maybe now, with Russ is going to sit there. I don't know how long he's going to sit. I'm not sure if they're just going to cut him, or are they going to trade him? Maybe there are so many teams right now that quarterbacks are hurt. The first team that I'll think of is the Bengals. I mean, I'm thinking of Jake Browning. You have Chase, and you got Higgins, and you got Brown. You got all these guys on the offensively gifted on the Browns, and Jake Browning is okay. He did terrible last week. I mean, the Minnesota Vikings just completely, destroyed the Bengals. Would Russell Wilson have changed that? I don't know. But let me tell you something. I think he'll do a much better job than Jake Browning could. I'm sorry. And it's not just him. There's other teams that are already losing quarterbacks. Obviously, J.J. McCarthy got hurt, but they like what they you saw what happened with Carson Wentz coming in, and he just basically took over. I think that there's something still in the tank for Russell Wilson. I don't think he's done. I think that he still can be a very serviceable quarterback in this league. And if not the Bengals, another team is going to be desperate for a quarterback. Would you trade for Russell Wilson at this point in time? If it's a really low trade, maybe a 7th round pick, maybe whatever. Maybe there's something else. Maybe there's somebody on the team that you're just not into anymore, and you need to make a move and create some space. Maybe that's what you do. Maybe there's a 3rd string quarterback. I don't know. But I think that the Giants have an opportunity here to sit this out for a little bit and see if you can get something for Russell Wilson. If not, at the end of the day, they'll just probably cut him. And Jameis Winston is your backup quarterback, which is something that everyone said, why is Jameis Winston here? Why don't you just trade Jameis Winston? Because of this situation. Because now you've moved on from Russ. Some people think he's done. Maybe he's not done. But maybe there's something you could do to get something back for Russell Wilson, and that's not going to be too much, but that's neither here nor there. The neither here nor there is Jackson Dart, get ready. You're going in against the Chargers, who is a hot team, a 3-0 team, and it's better than going against the Eagles. You don't want to go against the division rival the first game, because that would be way too in over your head. But with the plays he's made so far, the few plays he's made so far or been in so far, it's not the worst thing in the world. We've seen crazier things. Again, this is how Eli Manning got his first start after they decided to put bench Kurt Warner. Now, Kurt Warner was a different situation. He was 5-3 or 5-4, whatever it was. I can't remember if it was 5-3 or 5-4, but I know that they finished with a losing record. It's not going to go. Let's put it this way: Jackson Dart's going to come in. I don't expect Jackson Dart to lead this team to the playoffs. I don't. But hopefully, you could see some sort of semblance of a young quarterback who's got talent, who can make plays, who can lead teams to good drives, put up some points, be competitive, maybe win a couple games here or there. And if that's the case, you've got positivity moving forward. That's what you got to look for. That going forward, you have a quarterback that you could work with. You have a dynamic wide receiver in Malik Neighbors. You have a crafty veteran in Darius Slayton. Wan'Dale Robinson 2 weeks ago looked brilliant with Russell Wilson. How can you open up and unlock Wan'Dale Robinson? Theo Johnson's another tight end that I thought that was going to have a fantastic season this year. That someone that was going to be opened up and just find a way to create some open space, be a bulldog, get some big touchdowns. Cam Scatterbo, obviously, right now, we see that he's the real deal right now. Tyrone Tracy, unfortunately, is hurt. He's going to be out a couple weeks. But, again, you have some youthful talent on this team. Can Jackson Dart add to that and create a really solid offense? That's what we're going to find out. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening to another episode of WFAN Daily. Go check me out at Hoff WFAN on everything, whether it's X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Instagram, TikTok. I was doing some TikTok lives earlier because I just wanted to check it out, see how that worked. It was fun. And I found myself being in a situation where I was reacting live to the Brandon Nimmo 3-run home run, which was pretty awesome. So if you want to go check that out, go to my social media accounts and it'll be there. And I'm going to do that more often because we got 5 games left for the New York Mets in the regular season. Hopefully that carries through to the playoffs. But I want to give you guys some extra fun, and it was cool, good interaction. So we'll do that during the next 5 games as well. Even though Wednesday night I'm going to be at NYCFC as NYCFC faces Inter Miami, and yes, Messi will be at Citi Field if you guys are into that stuff. So that'll be interesting. But besides after that game, then I will go back to the lives and have some fun. Rico Bronya is out right now if you want to go check that out. It was a great episode as we celebrated a nice victory for the New York Mets with 5 games to go. And then later on, whenever you're listening to this right now, BT and Sal, I'm on with them every day, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., Monday through Friday. It'll be a great episode as we get to celebrate the Yankees, the Mets, and whatever else comes our way. And yeah, Odyssey app too. Don't forget that. All right, guys. I'll catch you guys later again at Hoff WFAN on all social media. See you guys mañana. Peace.